The ASICS Superblast 2 was one of my favorite shoes ever. Let's see if the ASICS MEGABLAST can live up to that hype. Hello everybody, my name is Casey Atkinson and I'm a 20-year-old runner who reviews running shoes here on YouTube. And today in this video, I'll be taking you through my full review on the ASICS MEGABLAST. As I said in the intro, the ASICS Superblast 2 was one of my favorite shoes, and the MEGABLAST seemed quite similar to that, so I thought I'd have to pick it up. So firstly, I will start off with the specs. This shoe comes in at a really light weight of 221 grams or 7.8 ounces, which is really impressive for a shoe of this stack height. It comes in at 45 millimeters in the heel with an 8mm drop, giving us 37 in the forefoot. So it is very rare that you'll find a shoe this tall and this light that isn't a race day shoe. For the overview, the upper is an engineered mesh made with 75% recycled polyester. The midsole is FF Turbo Squared, which is a new midsole foam from ASICS, and the outsole is ASICS Grip. And now I will dive into how I have found running in the ASICS MEGABLAST. So I got this shoe a few months after it was first released, and I heard it was a really good long run shoe. And I needed a long run shoe to replace my Superblast 2, so I thought this would be a perfect fit. And it was. I really enjoy this FF Turbo Squared midsole foam. Because the shoe is so light, it's not a very dense foam, but it's quite a firm foam. So it's very responsive, but it also has a very good energy return and it keeps you supported right throughout the long run. I don't feel any foam fatigue in this shoe, so you won't find it packing down in the forefoot like some other softer shoes. And with this foam being so firm, it's very resilient. I've found that it's had quite good durability, and most of our long runs are on trail or gravel or road, and this exposed midsole foam has barely any scuffs on it at all. So I've run over very sharp rocks with this shoe and there's been no punctures or anything like that. So that has been very impressive since it has a lot of exposed midsole foam and not much rubber coverage, which means it is faring very well in terms of durability. And the ride of this midsole is so smooth. I feel like I can pick up the pace quite easily in this shoe. So not only have I been doing long runs in the shoe, but I've also been doing intervals. So because the foam is so energetic, I've been taking it for some threshold workouts. I wouldn't take it for anything faster than a threshold workout since it hasn't got a plate. But since it is so light, it can handle intervals very well and keep your legs nice and fresh because the stack height is so high. So this ride is one of the best that I've ever felt on what I'd call a long run shoe. Although I would prefer the foam to be a little bit softer. So I've actually found that this foam feels firmer than the Superblast 2, although I've talked to other people and they've found that the foam's actually softer than the Superblast 2. So I think in that sense, it's quite dependent on your foot strike. So I land in the midfoot and I find that that feels firmer than when I land in the midfoot on the Superblast 2. So while the midsole on the shoe is excellent, the upper is very poor in my opinion. First things first, I've never got blisters on my Achilles before, and this shoe gives me terrible blisters on my Achilles, right at the top of the heel cup here. Especially on the treadmill, so much so that when I used to do my threshold workouts on the treadmill, it would cut into my Achilles so much that I can't use it on the treadmill anymore. I only use it for long runs, as the shoe isn't cutting into the same spot every step. So in that sense, it's been quite disappointing. And for the rest of the upper, it has also been very disappointing. It's just a little bit too stripped down. There's not much support. So I find that my foot will slide and hit the end of the shoe when I'm going downhill. So I find that my foot will not be locked down that well. And when I'm going downhill, my feet will sometimes hit the end of the shoe as they're sliding forward. And cinching down the laces doesn't help with that since there's no padding here. And I'll just get excessive lace bite on top of the foot. So I think the upper is quite sloppy and it doesn't hold my foot in place like I would want to. I much prefer the upper on the Superblast 2 as I had no problems with it. That is pretty disappointing for a shoe that is so expensive and a shoe with a midsole this good. I think it would be perfect if they just kept the same midsole but with the Superblast 2 upper on the top. And finally, I'll move down to the outsole. It has been holding up really well actually. All of the grooves on the outsole are still there, and I'm not seeing much wear on it at all. Like I was saying before, they have a lot of exposed midsole foam which isn't deteriorating. So the durability on the outsole is quite surprising, and I haven't been slipping around in it much in wet conditions. And lastly, I'll talk about how I've been using the ASICS MEGABLAST. And as I've alluded to throughout the video, I've just been using this for long runs. I used to do threshold work in the shoe and it worked quite well, apart from the blisters that I get on my Achilles, and that was from using this shoe on the treadmill. So I don't use the shoe on the treadmill anymore because the blisters were too painful. But I think this is a really good long run shoe. You can run as long as you want in the shoe. I wouldn't use it for easy runs or anything like that. This shoe is meant for steady paces up to around threshold, in my opinion, which is quite a wide pace range, which has helped with the shoe being so light. And that will wrap up my full review on the ASICS MEGABLAST. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. It would mean a lot, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya!